Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Ahmed Al-Jaili. I'm an alumni of Harvard College and Harvard Law School. As president of the Harvard Arab Alumni Association, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to each one of you to the 9th annual Harvard Arab Weekend. Having had the privilege of attending the 8 previous editions of this conference, it gives me particular pride to see its astonishing growth, nay, its metamorphosis, from a small gathering of Harvard alumni and students to today, where the Harvard in the conference name is merely the location of the largest Arab conference in North America. And this year, we have a record of pre-registered attendees of 1,100 attendees. Such success would not have been possible without you, our guests, without our distinguished speakers, without our sponsors and partners whose generosity makes this conference possible. And I'd like to particularly thank our strategic partners, Strategy and our platinum sponsor, Bank HAAA, for their continued support. But last but not least, not without the heroic team of student organizers, led by the amazing conference co-chairs, Aya and Kami, and the HBS co-chairs, Karine and Guy. So please extend them a warm thank you. I'd like to say a few words about the HAAA before addressing why we are here today. A number of you will have heard some of this before, but I am unabashedly proud of what this organization has done in a very short time period. And the good news is, this is actually the last time you hear me open a HAAA in a heartbreaking betrayal of the Arab tradition of lifelong presidencies. So, who said the Arab Spring is dead, right? So what does the HAAA do and why? Our goal has always been to bring the Arab world to Harvard, as we do today, but also to bring Harvard to the Arab world, as we do in our second flagship conference, the Harvard Arab World Conference, or the House, which is held at a different Arab city each year. We held it earlier this year in Rabat, and we will hold it next April in Muscat, and we hope that as many of you as possible will join us there for the conference, as well as an amazing tour of beautiful Oman. Yet conferences alone are not enough. We literally bring more Arabs to Harvard by working closely with the university to admit more Arab students, by launching our HAAA Scholarship, which was Harvard's first alumni scholarship fund, which has funded an Arab student for each of the last 5 years. And thanks to these and other efforts, the number of Arab students at Harvard has more than doubled in the brief life of the HAAA. And with that, we hope to double our efforts, our impact, and our aspirations for the Arab world. Why do we do all of this? We do it because we know that we as Arabs can, indeed we know we must do better. We not only reject our status quo, but we also believe that we can change it. Yet change can only begin with ourselves. Through an honest reflection on our reality today, and through an honest and a rational interrogation of its causes and how we can alter it, and how we can restore peace and prosperity to the Arab world? The answer, I believe, is by making peace with ourselves, by building bridges across space and time, across faiths and sects, across political ideologies and dogmas, and physical and imaginary borders, and across generations and across time. Not only to the past, but we ultimately gather here today to build a bridge to a better future for the Arab world. Being proud Arabs, I'd like to conclude with a few words in Arabic. أيها الحفل الكريم، باسم جمعية خريجي هارفارد العرب أرحب بكم هذا المساء، مساء الخير. مرة أخرى وأخيرة أقف بين ظهرانيكم وفي الفؤاد حرقة، وفي الفؤاد حرقة، وفي العقل رؤية، وفي النفس طموح، وفي اللسان نشيد أمل. حرقة نارها تلتهم أبناء وبنات أمتنا في أوطانهم وحين يفرون منها. تلتهم متحفاً ومسجداً وكنيسة باسم رب الضحايا، وتلتهم كذلك كتباً وأفكاراً كسرت قيد المسموح فحرقت بدلاً من نفايات تكدست مؤخراً في شوارعنا وقبلها في عقولنا. فلنطهر عقولنا من الجهل، من الأنا، من الكراهية والطائفية وضيق الأفق، ولتستنير عقولنا برؤى خلاقة، برؤى خلاقة وذات أخلاق، تمد جسوراً إلى الآخر وإلى ذاك الذي أقنعنا أنفسنا أنه آخر. رؤى تبنى على العلم والكفاءة والإخلاص، وقبل ذلك تبنى على إيماننا بقدرتنا على التغيير. فلنتعرى من اليأس ومن جلد الذات، ولتنشد أرواحنا طريقاً يتسلح بوسطية الفكر لا وسطية الهمة والطموح. فكما قال أبو الطيب: إذا غامرت في شرف مروم، إذا غامرت في شرف مروم فلا تقنع بما دون النجوم. فلنزرع الأمل في نفوس أمتنا شيبها وشبابها، ولنبني جسوراً عبر الزمان والمكان إلى بعضنا البعض، إلى المستقبل الأفضل. فلنبني جسوراً إلى النجوم. وشكراً. And now it gives me great honor and privilege to invite the conference co-chairs, Aya and Kami. Please.
أود أن أرحب بكم بمؤتمر هارفارد العربي التاسع. Distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 9th annual Harvard Arab Weekend entitled Building Bridges. Over the course of the past few months, our team has been working tirelessly to bring you the best how yet. And we're extremely pleased to announce that we have broken the record for ticket sales, officially making us the largest student-led conference about the MENA region in the world. Wow. Today, I look around me and I'm inspired and thankful to have worked with an incredibly talented group of individuals without whom this conference would not have succeeded. Thank you to the team, volunteers, and HAAA. We could not have done this without you. I started my degree in Middle Eastern Studies here at Harvard last year, at a time where there didn't seem to be much hope back home. We had an Islamic state, a few civil wars, several failed revolutions, and the worst refugee crisis in modern history. There was a lot to study, but very little to admire. A few months after arriving to Harvard, I attended Harvard Arab Weekend, and I was blown away and inspired by the organizing team and attendees' commitment to their causes, pride in their heritage, and determination to make a difference. I was reminded why I had chosen to study politics, why I shouldn't have been something useful like a lawyer or a doctor. Last year, Harvard Arab Weekend reminded me what politics made me forget. We have an extremely rich history and we could have a very promising future, but it is up to us to bridge that gap. Harvard Arab Weekend is a microcosm of what can be accomplished when ambitious, forward-looking Arab youth put their minds and energies together to create a shared endeavor that leaves its mark on this institution and on the Arab world. You have traveled from across the world to be here today. Over the course of the next 3 days, you will meet over 1,000 of the best and the brightest young minds. You will hear about the potential that diplomacy has to transform the region. You will debate the ways in which technology can bring about social change. You will celebrate the achievements of Arab scientists. You will listen to the stories of young men and women who have sparked revolutions. But most importantly, you will engage with people who will challenge your existing views and with whom you will engage in constructive debate. This is the first step towards building bridges. We are all here today because we are proud to be Arab, because we refuse to be defined and confined by the stories that others tell about us, because we believe in a brighter future. On this evening, I am reminded of Khalil Gibran's words. He wrote, "In the fields of the Middle East, which has been a large burial ground, stand the youth of spring, calling the occupants of the sepulchres to rise and march toward the new frontiers." There is, on the horizon of the Middle East, a new awakening. It is growing and expanding. It is reaching and engulfing all sensitive, intelligent souls. It is penetrating and gaining all sympathy of noble hearts. The words of Khalil Gibran, written almost 90 years ago, still hold true today. Building bridges is not only a theme, it is a call to action. It is time for us to step out of the sidelines and take control of our own destiny. It is time for us to be the youth of the spring, uniting together to accomplish what our parents and grandparents could not. It is time for us to build the bridges of understanding between our diverse religions, cultures, and communities. This weekend, we will build those bridges. So engage, debate, and connect. Let yourself be inspired.
Distinguished guests, welcome again. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm Arabia. But you don't have to be Arab to admire the vitality and richness, the hope and promise of the Arab world. My parents are originally from Korea, and when I was younger, I actually grew up listening to the stories about the long history of relations spanning more than 1,000 years between Korea and the Arab world, encompassing the scientific, the commercial, and even the cultural. In my mind, Arabs were some of the most innovative and inspirational people. And don't worry, I still think so. In the West, we often have the tendency to focus on the problems in the Middle East, and we fail to realize the sheer humanity and resilience lying underneath. And while many of these problems seem never-ending, more than ever, I've come to unearth great appreciation for the individuals and the small people who go unrecognized, yet who work tirelessly toward a brighter future in the Arab world. You all being here today is a testament to the power of Arabs coming together to work toward this common goal. Each and every one of us has the power to inspire one another and inspire generations past and generations to come. At the heart of it, this conference is really about you. You are here to inspire and to be inspired. You are here to tell your story and listen to others. Some of you may be here to look for marriage prospects, but ultimately, all of us are here because we believe in each other and in ourselves, Ultimately, all of us are here because we believe in each other and in ourselves and in the great promise of the Arab world. Harvard Arab Week in 2015 is thus a celebration of the Arab world's achievements. But it is also a call to action for us to transform our ideas into reality and to leave our mark on the Arab world and the world at large. With that, I would like to invite you to join us in this ongoing journey toward a prosperous future, a journey that we will take together in unity and solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali and Cami. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the 9th Annual Harvard Arab Weekend. My name is Hisham Hamouda. I'm the Vice President of the Harvard Arab Alumni Association, and I'm an Assistant Professor at the Harvard Medical School. I have the great honor and the privilege to introduce our next speaker, Professor Dr. Mark Elliott. Dr. Elliott is the Vice Provost for International Affairs at Harvard University. He is also the Mark Schwartz Professor of Chinese and Inter-Asian History in the Department of East Asian Languages and Civilizations, and in the Department of History in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. As Vice Provost, Dr. Elliott oversees and works to advance international academic interests of Harvard University, extending the global reach of Harvard's research and teaching activities. We're very lucky to have Dr. Elliott with us today. Please give him a warm welcome.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm Mark Elliott. As Hisham said, I'm the Vice Provost for International Affairs here. I am a Professor of History, and I am really, really pleased to be here. I want to thank Hisham, who invited me to come sought me out. I've been Vice Provost now for just a couple of months, so I basically go around introducing myself as the new Jorge Dominguez. The previous Vice Provost, many of you, if you've been to these before, you will certainly know him, as Jorge was a faithful attendee at these events and also at the conference event that happens in the spring. So thanks to him, thanks to Ahmed for including me here today. It's, as you can see from yourself, but for yourselves looking around, a very impressive crowd here, and the numbers are going to get even bigger as we move into Friday and into Saturday. With something like 20 panels, and I think over 1,100 registered participants, and that doesn't even count the unregistered participants, the disorganized ones who will show up at the last minute. The credit for this really does go to the co-chairs, to Ayan and Kami. I'm not going to attempt to top Kami's humor, but I know from other similar events that I have been part of. As I said, I'm a historian of China. The Chinese students have an event that is very similar to this, called the Harvard-China Forum, that happens every April. Similar style, similar size. A lot of people from all over the world come in for this, and for all kinds of networking purposes. And it's all organized by them. I don't know how you find time to do that and still pass your courses. And yet, every year, there are a number of really dedicated students who come forward and manage that. So, if I may, I'd like to ask for another round of applause for them and all the work that they do. So, we have heard that this is the largest HAAA conference in North America. This meeting these days stand really as evidence of one of the many ways in which the Harvard Arab Alumni Association is so successful in keeping alumni connected with the university and with other alumni, whether they be in the United States, in the MENA region, or elsewhere around the globe. The HAAA is involved in other ways as well that are really important. If you don't know about them, you might want to ask around and get involved yourselves. One very important activity, and we were just talking about this before the program got underway this evening, is spreading news and information about Harvard, how to apply to Harvard, coming to Harvard something that people can really think about doing, and not simply an impossible dream. And it's in large part owing to the very persistent and successful outreach efforts that they have carried out over the last 5 years, that the numbers of students from the NENA region in the college have doubled in the last 5 years. So this is really impressive. And as Vice Provost, one of the things that I am determined to see more of is more international students, whether it's in the college or whether it's in the graduate school or in the professional schools around the university, more students from around the world coming to Harvard. And another way that the HAAA is active is, of course, with the Harvard Arab World Conference, which they organize every spring. This next one will be in early April in Oman, and I'm hoping to attend. And I encourage all of you, if you don't have other plans, to go, and even if you do have other plans, change your plans. So the theme of this year's conference is Building Bridges, Uniting for a Brighter Future. And I'd like to take up this theme in the brief time I have here to stress to you some of the main things about Harvard's engagement with the broader world, and especially the Arab world that I have been thinking about since I became Vice Provost a couple of months ago. Now, if you ask anybody at Harvard why bridges, jasur, I think is the word in Arabic, the first thing that people are likely to respond to you is that bridges matter because without them the university would not be able to function. The medical school, the business school, the School of Public Health, most of the athletic facilities, as well as the iLab, are all on the other side of the Charles River from Cambridge. And if it weren't for bridges, we'd be in boats trying to get back and forth across the river. So we really do need those bridges to get there, and we need more of them. If you've tried to cross the bridge from Kennedy, JFK, that leads across the Charles, you know that construction has been underway for 5 years, ever since the HAAA was awarded a prize by the president as one of the best shared interest groups. Since that time, nothing has happened on that bridge at all. And the really sad part is that when it is rebuilt, it'll be the same size as it was before. But nonetheless, it is one of the main bridges that we use. And without that bridge, we really couldn't function. And I would make the case here that it's those bridges, real as well as virtual, to the rest of the world that make Harvard great, and we need more of them. And the bridges that are built here this weekend are one key way in which such bridges are going to be built. Now, part of my role as Vice Provost is to implement the strategic direction that was announced by my boss, the Provost, and the President a few years ago. President Faust made a speech in which she said, and I'm quoting here, "Harvard has long been inherently global, but it now must become more intentionally global, uniting and leveraging its extraordinary intellectual and programmatic strengths with a more explicit strategy of world engagement that ensures the highest quality and impact for our teaching and our research in the decades to come." So I'm thinking, as I was debating whether I even wanted to take this job a few months ago, as I was very happy as a professor in the university. I wasn't sure I wanted to become an administrator, which would mean giving up research time. It would give up teaching time. So there would have to be something really important for me to do if I wasn't going to do those things. So I need to reflect carefully on what it means to be intentionally global. The answers that I came up with, I think, are important, and I want to share just a little bit of that with you tonight. I think what it means is that we need to find ways to create more impact. Impact around the world, and impact here on campus. There is a lot going on, but a lot of it goes on a little under the radar. There is more that can be done, and my office is charged with trying to figure out how to do that, devise new ways and new means to make our teaching available to ever broader audiences, to bring our research to bear on urgent issues of transnational significance, to send more of our undergraduate students abroad to study, and to bring more international students to Harvard. In all of these ways, to bring our ideals of liberal education to a public, whether it's here in the United States or elsewhere in the world, that is a little skeptical of the value of a liberal education. I was talking about doing something useful, like being a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer. And of course, those are all very useful occupations. But I'm venture to say that being a humanist, however, whatever form that takes, is an occupation that we should all strive for. Harvard does a lot to carry its mission abroad. The Center for Middle Eastern Studies, for instance, will soon be opening its first office in the MENA region in Tunis in January, very happy to say. Graduate students will be there in January, and the first bunch of undergraduates to go to an Arabic language program in the region that Harvard will be running will be at the Tunis office this coming summer. There are additional programs and agreements in place in Qatar, in Dubai, and there is more in the pipeline, more that we can do. And all of this is necessary, I think, for us to bring as many people as possible to the table in the conversation about global Harvard and what that means. But it's not enough, really, to bring Harvard out to the world, as important as that is. In addition, we must be sure that the world comes to Harvard as well. And that's one other reason why events like this are really so important. We have, as I've said, a reasonable number of international students here, about 23% across the university. When I'm through being Vice Provost, I hope very much that that number will be higher. And for that to happen, really requires efforts, not just of myself, not something that one person alone can do. It'll require efforts from all alums. And often we find non-alums who recognize in Harvard things, a kind of value that they can support, even if they didn't come here as students. And that kind of support is crucial to what we want to do. So to be truly global is to realize really, that Harvard must reciprocate fully in the movement of ideas and experiences and collaborations and peoples all around the world, both in and out of Cambridge. That is the real manifestation of our commitment to be not just a great American university, but also to be a great world university. There's another question, and I'm just going to touch on this briefly before I finish here, which is to ask why it matters. Why should Harvard want to be global? Isn't it enough to just be a great American school? That's already pretty good. What does it matter? What is the imperative behind this global mission? And here I would offer a couple of different arguments again, very briefly. So in the 19th and 20th centuries, which was at the time when Harvard really leveraged itself from becoming what was pretty much a school for rich New England men, to being a great world university. The goal was stated to educate men, and then later men and women, to be citizens of the Republic. That is what is written in a lot of the documents, say from the middle of the 20th century. And in the age of the nation state, when the nation state was the only thing that mattered, a laudable goal, I think, and I think that we can say that the university fulfilled this mission admirably. But there's always a but. If we wish to remain the beacon of excellence in higher education in the 21st century, an era in which I think the nation state will gradually fade in importance, and transnational organizations will come to matter more, we must set for ourselves a new mission. And given that, I think that it seems clear that Harvard must aim to educate its students to be citizens of the world, as well as citizens of whatever country they may be from, whether it's the United States or anywhere else. We cannot afford to speak as if the real world corresponded more or less to the United States or even to the West. If we do that, we will find ourselves gradually losing intellectual authority and standing. Students, if they are not already tired of them, will tire even more quickly of American-centric assumptions and will look elsewhere for approaches to knowledge that are more diverse, more eclectic, more inclusive, approaches that more resemble the world that they will be inhabiting, that they are inhabiting, the world that will be the world of the 21st century as it takes shape in the coming decades. So this is one reason why we need to be intentionally global, because if we're not, the world's going to actually pass us by. Harvard cannot assume that it's always going to be Harvard, in the sense that we understand Harvard today. This is something we have to try for every day. So I think that to advance further on this path requires us to embark on a path of growing internationalization. The other argument is that Harvard can make a difference in the world, particularly in parts of the world, such as the MENA region, that are currently experiencing significant disruption and major political, social, and economic challenges. Harvard stands in a unique position to bring people to the table. Whether it's its research or its convening power, Harvard can change the way people talk to each other. It can change the way that we look at the problems that we need to solve. And this is where I think the university's important connections to the Arab world become so important. And the bridges that exist between it and its alumni matter so much. So I know that the conversations that will take place tomorrow and over the weekend will be exciting. You'll meet new people, new networks will take shape, new ideas will be raised. Some will be good, some maybe not so good. That's the way it is. They will take root here, some will grow, and they will spread around the countries and the regions that are represented by all of you here tonight. I'd like to ask you to remember something that Kami said actually when she was up here. She said, you don't have to be Arab to appreciate and admire the Arab world and its accomplishments and achievements. And this is a spirit that has animated a lot of what I have done in my life, although with respect to China, as you can see, I'm hardly Chinese. But I have devoted all of my adult life to the study of civilization and a language and a people and a world that's very, very different from my own. And the ability to do that, to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, is, I think, really represents the core of the humanistic spirit that animates what's best at Harvard and what's best in each of us. So I hope that you'll take that away with you as you go from here after the end of tonight's exercises and to the panels that will be taking place. I wish you every success, and I look forward very much to continued cooperation as we work together to build an even more global Harvard. Thank you very much.